Welcome to the Global Chess League 2024. Today, we dive into the clash of chess titans, world number 1 Magnus Carlsen and world number 2 Hikaru Nakamura. Carlsen has more conventional, logical approach to the game, while Nakamura is known for his instinctive, unpredictable style. It is a fascinating encounter as both of them are very strong, especially in shorter formats. The time control is 20 minutes with no increment. Magnus, representing Alpine SG Pipers with white pieces, opens pawn to e4. Hikaru, representing American Gambits, replies with c5, the Sicilian defense. After knight f3, Hikaru surprises Magnus with g6, hyper-accelerated dragon variation. After some thought, Magnus plays d4. After c takes d4, knight takes d4, Hikaru brings out his bishop to g7. We have c4. Magnus goes for Maroczy bind pawn structure. Knight c6, bishop e3, knight f6 and d6 are more common here, but Hikaru goes queen b6, putting pressure on b2 pawn. Magnus goes knight b5, blocking attack on b2 and at the same time attacking black queen. Hikaru goes queen a5 check, Magnus blocks with the knight. Hikaru goes queen b4, attacking the b2 pawn again. Hikaru has moved his queen 3 times in the opening, which is normally not recommended by opening principles, but Hikaru has specific reasons. After some thought, Magnus plays queen c1. As of move 9, we already have very rare position on the board. Magnus has spent around 3 minutes, while Hikaru, playing fast, has spent just half a minute. Both the players continue their normal development with d6, knight d2, bishop e6, putting pressure on c4, bishop e2, preparing for castle. Hikaru can play normally with knight f6 followed by castle, but then it allows Magnus very easy play like castle followed by f4. So Hikaru plays an interesting move bishop d4. It is also top engine move. After spending 5 minutes, Magnus plays bishop takes d4. We have knight takes d4, bishop d3, Magnus avoids studying his bishop for the knight, rook c8, Hikaru puts his rook on the semi-open c file, castle, knight f6, Hikaru finally develops his knight, rook e1, Hikaru can castle here, but he goes for a more aggressive move knight g4. Magnus kicks the knight with h3, Hikaru reroutes the knight to e5, attacking bishop on d3, Magnus drops back bishop to f1. Knight takes c4 would be a mistake here, as after knight takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight d5, white will deflect black queen to win bishop or knight. Of course, Hikaru sees this and castles. Magnus attacks black queen with a3. After queen b6, Magnus goes knight d5, attacking black queen and pawn on e7. After bishop takes d5, e takes d5, e6, Magnus plays knight e4, threatening knight f6 check. Hikaru stops it with f5, but it weakens his king side a bit. After Magnus moves his knight, Hikaru threatens knight b3, forking white queen and rook. But Magnus calmly plays c5, excellent move. We have d takes c5, knight g5 with discovered attack on e5 knight, queen d6 defending the knight, queen e3, knight f7, Magnus captures e6 pawn, rook f e8 pinning the knight, bishop c4, knight c2 looks tempting here, forking white queen and both the rooks. However, it's actually a blunder as white has queen c3, threatening queen g7 checkmate and the knight. Anyway, Hikaru is too strong to fall for such tactics and plays knight d8, exerting more pressure on e6 knight. Magnus centralizes his rook with rook a d1, Hikaru trades the knights. Magnus has very strong passer on e file. Can Hikaru manage to find counterplay and put pressure on Magnus? Hikaru goes rook e7. We have b4, b6, Hikaru reinforces, b takes c5, b takes c5. Magnus manages to create isolated c5 pawn weakness. He starts the kingside attack with h4. Hikaru counterattacks with f4. We have queen e4, king g7. Hikaru's majority of pieces are on dark squares, while Magnus has light square bishop. Rook b1, Magnus wants to control open b file. Hikaru can play rook c e8, adding another attacker to e6 pawn. But he goes knight f5. Magnus plays rook e d1. attacking black queen, and if queen moves, planning rook d7. Hikaru blocks it with knight d4. Hikaru has wasted tempo with last two knight moves. Magnus continues his kingside pawn storm. However, Hikaru finds the best move in this position within few seconds. King f6, putting more pressure on e6 pawn and also planning queen e5. Magnus stops the plan with rook e1. Knight takes e6 is a good option here. After bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, black would be fine. But Hikaru prefers rook c e8. Magnus plays rook b d1, pinning down the d4 knight. We have g takes h5, rook d3, rook g8, rook h3, rook g5, rook h4. Magnus is a pawn down, but black pawns are weak. Hikaru should play logical move rook f5 here, but he plays f3, which is a mistake. Magnus takes advantage of it with rook f4 check. After king g7, g3, h4, best move for Magnus here is bishop d3, threatening queen takes h7. If king h8, then after queen a8 check, Magnus's queen and rook form a strong attack on Hikaru's back rank. However, Magnus misses bishop d3 under time pressure. He plays rook takes h4, which is a mistake. Can you find a nice tactic to take advantage of it? Rook takes g3. Hikaru finds this amazing tactic under time pressure. F takes g3 would be a blunder due to queen takes g3 check, king h1 and queen g2 checkmate. So Magnus plays king h1. Both the sides are attacking each other's kings. Magnus is threatening queen takes h7. So Hikaru plays rook g6. Magnus goes rook g1, threatening rook takes h7. After king takes h7, queen takes g6, Magnus has a winning attack. Hikaru needs to find the only move to hold and he finds it. You can pause the video and try to find. Rook takes e6. Brilliant, mind-blowing idea. If bishop takes e6, then after rook takes g1 check, king takes g1, knight e2 check, black threatens checkmate with a completely winning position. Now Magnus needs to find the only move to survive and he does. Rook takes g6. Magnus has 2 minutes on the clock and Hikaru has less than a minute. There is no increment, so they need to be careful. We have rook takes g6, queen b7 check, king f6, queen f7 check. A mistake by Magnus under time pressure. Hikaru finds the only winning move king g5, attacking white rook on h4. If Magnus goes rook h3, then after knight f5, black has a strong attack. So Magnus plays queen takes h7. Can Hikaru find the only winning move rook h6? After rook takes h6, queen takes h6, queen takes h6, king takes h6, the endgame would be completely winning for Hikaru. But with only few seconds on the clock, he misses it and plays knight f5, allowing Magnus to equalize with rook h5 check. We have king f4, bishop f1, rook g5, rook takes g5, king takes g5, queen takes a7. Magnus wins an important pawn. Queen d4, Hikaru attacks f2 pawn, king g1, Magnus defends. With not much time left on the clock and no chance to win for either side, Hikaru gives perpetual checks, queen g4 check, king h2, queen h4 check, king g1, queen g4 check, king h2, queen h4 check. And this exciting match finally ends in a fighting draw. Both these amazing stalwarts of chess demonstrated their aggressive styles with phenomenal preparation and sharp tactical play. The competition between them has enhanced the glamour of chess and elevated the game to entire next level. Thanks for watching. What did you think of this epic showdown? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more chess content. See you in the next video.